Have you ever thought to yourself, I wonder if Iowa is for me? I do love farming. Well, we're gonna answer that question and 20 more in this video. First question on the agenda is the weather right for you? Here in Iowa, we do have 4 seasons. We have spring, summer, winter, and fall. Right now, you can tell that we are in the fall time, but those aren't the ones that you really need to worry about. The ones that you need to worry about are either summer or winter. Those are the extremes that most people either complain about or love. Wintertime being the #1 reason that people don't like it, because it does get cold, it does get snowy, and you gotta be prepared for that if you're moving to the state of Iowa. You're gonna notice the pace of this video is very quick, but we wanna get through all 20 questions as soon as possible. And number 2 on the list is, what does the housing look like here in the state of Iowa? Well, overall, it's fairly affordable. Yes, we've seen increases in home prices, but it's still staying pretty affordable, having the median home price being at about $220,000 here in the state. But again, it depends on where you're moving and what you're looking for when coming here. And that's why people give me a call, because I know everything to do with the state of Iowa. And if I don't, I have people all over the state to help you out. So give me a call, send me a text. I'd love to help you out at any point in time. But let's move on to number 3. And number 3 is talking about gas and transportation here in the state. Yes, we have fairly affordable gas prices, and this is being recorded at the end of 2023 into 2024. And our gas prices are sitting at about $3.20, depending on where you go. And obviously that is always changing, but that is what you can expect. If you're moving to the state of Iowa, and as far as transportation goes, you're pretty much gonna want to have a car anywhere you live, because public transportation in the state is pretty lacking. And here in Davenport, it's really no different. So get out there, get a car, and be prepared to pay for the gas. Another thing that comes up a lot is taxes in the state of Iowa. So what can we expect for taxes, specifically income tax? Well, here in the state of Iowa, the governor has put in a plan to go to a flat tax rate of 3.9%. That's going to be gradually implemented over the next 3 years. So if flat tax rate is what you want, Iowa may be the place for you. Here in the state of Iowa, the utilities are another big question that comes up. What can you expect? Well, it really depends on where you're deciding to live. Now, we do have renewable energy sources. We have a lot of wind power. We do have some solar, although it's not as popular. But if those aren't your things, you're gonna probably have natural gas or liquid propane in the state for your heat. And electrical is going to be provided by coal plants and some nuclear plants, depending on where you're at, but it is a lower cost than most states in the union, so just know that going in. Now, something that seems almost essential to modern life is internet access, and in Iowa, obviously, we have a ton of internet access. But here's the thing about internet access. Depending on where you're deciding to live, it may be slower than what you're used to. Yes, we have high-speed internet in every city, but if you're living out in a rural town or just a rural area, you can expect that your internet may not be as fast as you would like it to be, but there are improvements going in every single day. In fact, my mom lives in a small town, about 1,500 people, and they just got fiber. So it's not everywhere, but it is coming pretty much every corner of this state. So be prepared for that if you're gonna decide to live in a small town or a rural area that your internet may be on the slower side. We talked a little bit earlier about cars, but if you're moving here, you're gonna have to register your car with the state. So what does that actually look like? Well, it depends on the list price of the car when you bought it. It's a percentage of that list price. And then on top of it, if it's a heavier vehicle, you're gonna be paying tonnage. And I believe it's 40 cents for every 100 pounds that the vehicle weighs that is added to the car registration. This comes as a shocker to most people when they move to the state, because a lot of other states are at a lower car registration amount, but coming here, it's gonna be on the little bit more expensive side, so be ready for that. Now, when it comes to schools, Iowa has a ton of public school options, but here in the state, the governor has put in place a different sort of school funding program, and that is, she is saying she is funding students, not the school system. So what does that mean? That means that she's giving out tuition money per se to students individually, and they can decide what they want to do with that. They can either go to the public schools or they can choose to go to private schools utilizing that money. So if school choice is important to you, Iowa area may be something that you want to consider. If you're wanting to move to Iowa and you want short commutes, you're going to be sorely disappointed. Here in the state, you're going to have to drive quite a ways for a lot of different things. Growing up in a town of about 1,500, I had to drive about 30 minutes to 45 minutes to just get to the nearest Walmart to get groceries. Yes, we have local grocery stores, but if you want to get a bulk amount, you're going to have to go to one of these bigger box stores. And a lot of times you're going to have to travel quite a bit of distance to get there. So be ready for that, because everything isn't as convenient as living in a big city. Now, we do have cities that it is convenient in, but if you're thinking rural or small town, just be ready for those travel distances. So what are the people like here in the state of Iowa? Well, luckily for you, the state of Iowa is known as Iowa nice when it comes to culture. What does that mean? That means the people of Iowa generally are going to be extremely polite to you. They're going to help you out when you need it. And if you're not used to that, it can be a complete shocker to the system, because people are all about community here and they love helping you out and reciprocating the help when it does come. So be ready for the Iowa nice culture, because it's going to be around. Now, depending on where you choose to live, if you're living in a city or living in a rural small town, the pace of life is going to be a lot different. In a small town, in a rural area, the pace of life is going to be a lot slower. There's just not going to be as much to do, but that is not a bad thing. People absolutely love having that slower pace of life, sipping your coffee out on the front porch, hanging out with family and friends. If you're living in a city, it may be a little bit faster of pace, but again, even our cities are slower paced than most cities around the country. So if you want a slower pace of life, Iowa is going to be a great option for you. Oh boy, let's talk about politics. Politics in the state of Iowa have generally been purple in the state, but as of recently, in the last few years, it has definitely tended towards red. Now, that doesn't mean that every city, every area in the state is red leaning, but the majority is going to be a Republican-based state. If that doesn't align with your thoughts and you don't want to be around that sort of thing, Iowa may not be the best choice, because it definitely is leaning red as of now. That could always change in the future, but right now in the state, it's definitely red. Now, if you don't mind an occasional traffic jam caused by a tractor, well, you're not going to mind Iowa. Here in the state, traffic jams are not a big issue. Yes, we have them. Yes, they are a problem when they do happen, but it's not happening all the time. And when it does happen, it's usually not going to be standstill traffic like you will see in some big cities, but we do have the tractor problem. Yes, you're going down a highway, once in a while, you get behind a tractor, and you'll have a long line of cars behind them, but again, it's not that big a deal. Usually you can pass the tractor and get around them, but just know the traffic here, generally, not too bad. Now, the question I asked at the very beginning of this is, I love farming. Is Iowa the state for me? Well, answer is yes. Agriculture is our number one economic driver for the state. So if you're in agriculture, Iowa is going to be a awesome choice for you, because we have unlimited choices when it comes to farming here in the state. If you're a big sports fan, you may want to avoid Iowa, because we don't have any professional sports here in the state of Iowa. That can be a shocker for some people, but it's true. We don't have any major league sports. Now, that doesn't mean we don't have any sports. We do have minor league sports. We have the Iowa Cubs. We have the Iowa Wild in Des Moines. We have the River Bandits on the east side, and so many more minor league teams here in the state. But major league, we really don't. And depending on where you're at in the state, you kind of adopt whatever professional team you are closest to. So keep that in mind. If you're a big sports league fan, well, Iowa may be a bad choice for you. If restaurants are a big deal to you here in the state of Iowa, we have a ton of them. Now, are they super diverse in what they offer? Depends on what you're looking for. Now, in the cities, we have plenty of options all over, but if you lived in rural Iowa, your choices are going to be a little bit limited on what you're seeing. You're going to have a lot of steak and potato restaurants. You're going to have a lot of cafes, those sorts of things, but there are options, and depending on what you like, you may want to look at a city versus rural on the restaurant options. Now, we talked about farming in an earlier portion of this video, and it comes down to farmers markets as far as if you're not into agriculture. And we have plenty of farmers markets here in the state of Iowa because we have so many farmers, we have a lot of options. Des Moines has one of the largest in the nation. Here in Davenport, we have one of the best. And it's amazing to see the areas and the support that these farmers markets get. So if that's important to you, fresh fruits, fresh veggies, you're gonna have all options when it comes to farmers markets. And not only are they large and good, even some of the small towns will have farmers market that the farmers will bring in. So look at small towns, look at cities, they have them pretty much everywhere. Now in this state, we obviously have a big driver for ag, and the economy is driven around ag. But next 3 points are the different types of jobs. You know, we have agriculture, you have farming, you have ranching, you have all those sorts of different things. But also in the state, we're having a lot of driven traffic into tech. We're having traffic into insurance. And not only that, we also have things going on with manufacturing. We have it all. You know, here in Davenport, we have manufacturing of airplanes, rockets, those sorts of things, which you never suspect that Iowa was leading the charge in some of those manufacturing jobs. And then as far as the insurance and the tech, you see that in Des Moines. In fact, Des Moines is known as the insurance capital of the United States, which most people don't actually know that. So it is a booming economy, and we have plenty of options when it comes to your future career when moving to the state of Iowa. And I know this state like the back of my hand. And if I don't know something about it, I know somebody else that does. So if you have questions and you want to move to the state, well, hit me up. My number is popping down below. I'd love to help you out. But for now, if you want to see what Iowa is like, I did make a whole vlog about the entire state of Iowa. So check out this video right here.